Welcome to The Nudge, where small shifts create powerful transformation. I'm Andrea McCabe, heart centered educator and architect of awakening. Today's topic is Why Am I Stuck? Imagine this: there are two children in a house. One of them takes markers and starts drawing on the wall. The other one sees it happen and tries to fix it. They grab something to try and wipe it off and end up with marker all over their hands. And then the parent walks in. They look at the wall. They look at the child with a marker all over their hands and immediately decide what happened. You did this. The child says, "No, I didn't. I didn't do it." But the other sibling speaks up. "It was them. Look at their hands." And just like that, it's decided. The child tries again. "No, no, I didn't. I was trying to clean it." But it doesn't matter. They're not heard. They're not believed. They're sent to their room crying, saying over and over, "I didn't do it," and no one is listening. Something is happening in that moment, not just externally, internally. That child does not yet have the capacity to step back and think, maybe this is a misunderstanding. Maybe this will be resolved. Maybe this isn't about me. That perspective isn't available yet. So something else happens instead. Meaning is created. Any experience that feels overwhelming, unfair, confusing, or not safe to process doesn't just pass through, it gets stored. And in that moment, the system asks, what does this mean? Not logically, not rationally, but instinctively. And the answers are simple, direct, absolute. No one believes me. What I say doesn't matter. I'm not seen for who I am. It's not safe to be myself. Those are not just thoughts. They are conclusions. And when an experience is not processed, these conclusions don't get updated. They stay. When an experience processes, there's movement. The emotion moves through, the body settles, there is completion. But when it's not processed, it remains active. The emotion is held, the body remembers, the meaning stays in place. And over time, that meaning becomes a pattern. Consider that same child years later. Now they're in a relationship. They're an adult. They feel connected, open, maybe even safe. And one day their partner says, "Where were you?" All of a sudden, there's an immediate reaction. "Why are you asking me? You won't believe me anyway. I'm so tired of this. I'm done." Everything escalates, not because of that moment alone, but because of what that moment activates. The reaction is not just the words, it's connected to the imprint. That earlier meaning, I'm not believed, I don't matter, I'm not seen. That's what is active here. And it happens very quickly, before there's time to think, before there's time to question. The system recognizes something that is familiar and it completes the pattern. This is where the question begins to surface. Why am I stuck in this? Because even when you begin to see it, it does not immediately stop. You recognize it, you understand it, and still it runs. That is not failure. I want you to hear that again. That is not failure. It's happening below the surface. The word subconscious literally means below consciousness, below what you're thinking, below what you're choosing, below what you're aware of. If something is running below the surface, you will not always see it in real time. You will often see it after the reaction, after the shutdown, after the outcome. When a pattern activates, your system does not experience it as a story. It experiences it as present. The body responds. Your thoughts organize around it. Your behavior follows. And in that moment, it feels real. It feels true. You see, patterns feel familiar, and familiarity can feel like safety. Not because it feels good, but because it is known. It's predictable. Consider this. Your system will choose what is familiar over what is unfamiliar, even when the familiar is limiting. Over time, you begin to interpret situations through that lens. You respond from that place, and your responses influence what unfolds. It is not that life is repeating itself. It is that something within you is responding in a familiar way and leading you toward a similar experience. And over time, that becomes your story. Here are the 5 keys to help you understand why you feel stuck. Key number 1, patterns are formed through meaning. It's not just what happened. It's what it meant to you at the time, when you did not have the capacity to question yet. That meaning became a lens. Key number 2, unprocessed experiences remain active. If something was not processed, it does not disappear. It remains in your system and continues to influence how you feel, think, and respond. Key number 3, the body responds first. Before you think, you feel. Before you analyze, your body has already recognized something. This is often the first signal that a pattern is active. Key number 4, patterns run automatically. These reactions are not being consciously chosen in the moment. You're becoming aware of something that is already in motion. That's why change feels difficult. Key number 5, programming becomes identity. Over time, what was learned begins to feel like who you are. This is just how I am. This is just what happens to me. Consider this. What if it is not who you are, but how you were programmed? If this was learned, it can be changed. Not through force, not through willpower, but by working with it at the level in which it was created. Your brain can rewire. New pathways can form. Patterns can shift. The same way something was learned, it can also be unlearned. There are ways to work with the subconscious directly, to identify the root, to shift the meaning, to release what has been held, and to create something new. Processes like subconscious imprinting technique and hypnotherapy work at that level. They do so by not forcing change, but by allowing it. You are not stuck because something is wrong. You are experiencing something that was learned in a moment that mattered, and it has been repeating below the surface. And once you begin to see that, something begins to open. As you move through your week, pay attention to what feels familiar. Where do the same reactions show up? Where do the same meanings form? Where do the same conclusions appear? Instead of asking, why does this keep happening to me? Consider a different question. What might this have meant at some other moment in my life? If this resonates, if you can feel there is something deeper beneath your reactions, this is where the work begins to change. Not at the surface, but at the level these patterns were formed. And the nudge for this week is simple. When you sense something come up, ask a different question. In the next episode, we're going to take this one step deeper. We're going to explore what the subconscious mind actually is and how something can be shaping your thoughts, your reactions, and your patterns without you even realizing it. Because once you understand that, everything we've talked about here starts to make a different kind of sense. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Stay curious and honor that nudge because shift happens. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you again for being here